Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. How are you today? I hope that you are always healthy. My name is Salma Nabila Ajahra. My student's number 20, 21, 22, 159. So, in this occasion, I will be your moderator from Group 5, and we will explain about clause and complexes.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Intan Nabila Humaira. My ID number is 202122146, and I'm the first presenter in this group. Systemic functional grammar talks about clauses and clause complexes rather than sentences. Why the term clause and clause complex when most people already know the word sentence? The sentence is a unit of written language. It does not apply to spoken language. People don't speak in sentences. If you have ever tried to transcribe audio taped or video taped language material, you will have come up against this fact very quickly. People do, however, speak in message which are released grammatically in clauses and clause complexes. Hence, the latter terms are equally applicable to spoken and written language, and therefore are preferred. A clause can be defined as the largest grammatical unit, and a clause complex is two more clauses logically connected. These points are illustrated in the following example. John invited the Wilson to the party, but they didn't come, which made John rather indignant, as he had thought he was doing them a favor. Recognizing clause boundaries, because mood, passivity, and temperament are analyzed at clause level. It is essential to know where clauses begin and end. The following outline attempts to define clausiness and to classify types of clauses. Minor versus major clauses. A minor clause has no predicator. Major clause do. The principal types of minor clause are follows: address, vocative, ronda, sweetie cakes, greeting, hi, good day, exclamation, oh burger, stirred. None of the above has a predicator, and so each one is a minor clause. In the example about John and the Wilsons, on the other hand, each segment has a predicator in bold, and so each is a major clause. John invited the Wilson to the party, but they didn't come, which made John rather indignant, as he had thought he was doing them a favor. Independent clauses, non-elliptical versus elliptical. Elliptical clauses have bits ellipsid that is left out, but these bits are recoverable from the accompanying text. Non-elliptical, who is the best man? Michael Jones is the best man. Are they having a reception? Yes, they are having a reception. John's mother began to cry and she was handed a hanky. In the elliptical example above, we know that Michael Jones is the best man, not the captain of the local cricket team, because is the best man is recoverable from the accompanying text. Major dependent clauses. A major dependent clause must either be initiated by a first subordinating relator, example, since, if, although, because, example, as he had thought. Second, a relator WH word, example, who, which, when, example, which made John rather indignant. Third, relative word that, example, that he was doing them a favor, or the verbal group functioning as the predicator of the dependent clause must be in the one of the following forms: perceptive, infinitive, to plus verb; imperfective, participle, ing verb plus ing.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Syarifatul Awaliyah. My student's number 202122133. Major dependent clause embedded versus non-embedded. Embedding is a mechanism whereby an element, in our case, a class, comes to function within the structure of a group, which itself is a constituent of a class. So we get non-embedded. It's my own invention to keep sandwiches in. Embedded, I needed something to keep sandwiches in. In the first example, to keep sandwiches in is not embedded. Instead, it is a dependent clause, one which adds a kind of afterthought. In the second, to keep sandwiches in is embedded, and therefore does not function as a dependent clause in its own right, but rather acts more like a word qualifying or modifying the meaning of something. The characteristic function of an embedded elements are as first, qualifier in a nominal group. For example, the prisoner who hid in the ticket. I need something to keep sandwiches in. And the second, head of a nominal group or nominalization. For example, that you are sorry isn't enough. Knowing Garfield is loving him. And the third, qualifier in adverbial group. For example, beating of more than you can chew is silly. Clauses complex. A clause complex is composed of two or more clause logical connected, or put another way. A clause complex is a sequence of processes which are logically connected. Clauses can be combined through one of two logico-semantic relations, expansion or projection. We will consider expansion first. Expansion links processes by providing additional information. It involves three types of relationship: elaboration, extension, and enhancement. First, elaboration. This involves four relationships specifying in greater detail, restatement, exemplification, and comment. The types of logical relationship covered under elaboration are the that is, for example, and namely type. Elaboration is shown through the sign. For example, this stew is awful. It's too salty. This stew is awful. It's completely off. In each case above, the second clause is a sort of paraphrase or afterthought of the first. You can think of elaboration as that is to say, relationship. The second, extension. This extends the meaning one of clause by adding something new. It involves an, but, and or type relationship and is marked by a plus sign. For example, I play a French horn and my sister plays oboe. I love French horn, but I'm less strapped with saxophone. In each of these cases, the second clause adds a new but more related meaning to the first. You could think of extension as the moreover or furthermore relationship. Third, enhancement. This involves circumstantial relationship where the circumstantial information is coded as new clause rather than within a clause. This can be temporal, conditional, causal, concessive, spatial, or manner. It is marked through and sign. For example, I went to rehearsal after I lectured all day. It's a temporal. You don't have time to practice if you teach both day and night. It's a causative. We didn't have rehearsal on Monday because it was a public holiday. It's a causal. We had rehearsal on Monday, although it was a public holiday. It's a concessive. We rehearsed at Camden Park High School, where we always rehearse. It's special. I am developing a more pleasing sound by changing my embouchure, its manner. Projection. Projection links clauses by having one process projected through another either by quoting or reporting. Both meaning, ideas, and wordings. Question can be a projected wording is marked with quote, and projected idea is marked with single quote. We can also project proposition, information, or proposal, goods and service. Projection occur through mental and verbal process. For example, verbal, the conductor said the next concert is in July. The conductor said that the next concert is in July. Mental, I thought the next concert is in July. I thought that the next concert was to be in July. The grammatical criterion for distinguishing between types of mental processes is whether then they can project or not, and if they can project, what they can project. Mental processes of perception, see, hear, etc. do not project. Mental processes of cognition, think, remember, consider, can project proposition by both quoting and reporting. Mental processes of reaction, want, desire, can project proposals.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Kamil. My study number is 20, 21, 22, 136. Taxis. Expansion and projection combine with system of interdependence or taxis to make up the system for joining clauses in English. Taxis refers to dependency status of the clauses in a clause complex. The term hypotaxis is used to refer to relationship which one clause is independent on another. In traditional grammar, this is called subordination. The term of parataxis is used when one clause follows on from another. In traditional grammar, this is called coordination. In hypotaxis, we refer to clauses as being either dominant or dependent. Status is marked through Greek letters. Alpha marks the dominant clause. Clauses are marked alpha, beta, gamma, and so on. It is important to note that the alpha or dominant clause does not necessarily converse in the clauses complex. In parataxis, we refer to clauses as being imitating or continuing. Clauses are marked by number 1, 2, 3, and so on. We can summarize the choice involved in the system network. In relationship of expansion, both the taxis and the logico-semantic relationship can be identified through the marker which joins the clause. Clauses complex of course are not limited to two clauses in natural spoken. Discourse clauses complex can extend to a dozen or so clauses, and the relationship among the clauses can be very complex mixtures all the above possibilities. A handy rule of thumb for deciding whether clauses are joined by parataxis or hypotaxis is try to change the order of the clauses. If the conjunction moves with the clauses, it is most likely hypotaxis. For example, parataxis. I play French horn, and my sister plays the above. Analysis of clauses complex. When analyzing clauses complex, list each clauses vertically down the page, lettering each clauses. Complex ABC, etc. and numbering each clauses in the clause complex. Display any list on left-hand side of text. Begin a new layer and then whenever there is a change in text or a change in logico-semantic relation.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rizkani Fitri Ramadanti and my student's number is 2021222142. I will continue the presentation by explaining another examples. So, there is a sentence on the screen. Cooking is one of the hardest things of my life. I don't like it, she said. There are like 3 clauses in that sentence, but how do you label it? Okay, let's take a look. There is cooking is one of the hardest things of my life, and I don't like it. Then she said. Okay, why it's not labeling as 1, 2, or 3? Basically, from this example, from the words cooking until the word it talks about something that somebody said. So the number 1 in the first is the whole thing here, or the whole sentence is that connected with the word she said, and I don't like it. There is not directly connected with that she said, but it is directly connected with the first clause. There is why we need to label it 2 times, like as 1 and 1. Okay, both of them appear at the beginning, so of course both of them have to be labeled as 1. And the next is I don't like it is connected to the first sentence, like there it said I don't like it. Then what is the reason for the I don't like it sentence? Yeah, and there is the answer is cooking is one of the hardest things of my life. So it is labeled with number 2. And why is it equal beside the number 2? Because it gives us a precise feelings about what you want to say. So cooking is the hardest thing of my life, so I don't like it. But then the whole thing is actually a verbal process because it is something that you said. So it is a projection as the presenter explained before. So when you read a narrative text, usually you will find a sentence like that under the previous sentence. Under the previous sentence, there is cooking, she said, is the one of the hardest thing of my life. So basically, cooking, the words cooking and the rest of the sentence, it is one single sentence. But because in narrative writing, you can actually touch it. You can change every single about it. So this is actually fine, but of course it makes it difficult for us to analyze it in functional grammar. So here's what you do. As you can see on the screen, there is cooking, number 1, and because it is divided by word she said, we can put that symbol between number 2. And then is one of the blah 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 is going to be number 1 again. Why? Because it is the same sentence that the subject it is still the same verb, so it's still labeled as number 1. And that is different with the next sentence below. In that one, we will have cooking is the hardest things of my life. That is number 1. We have established that, and that is divided with she said sentence. She said words. So that is number 2. And what about I don't like it? Because it is connected again with the first sentence. We label it equal to. I know it looks complicated, but once we do it on our own, it won't be that complicated. It won't be that difficult. We will learn to see how things are connected logically, and it will be easier for us to decide which one is number one and which one is more connected to the sentence, or which one is the better, things like that. Okay, next there is another example, like Pika said, I like Suga. Then I loved Jimin because he's so handsome. So if you see here, I actually divided the color because I want you to see how things are logically connected. Pika said is connected directly to I like Suga, and I like Suga is connected directly to then I love Jimin, but it is not connected to because he is so handsome. So the words Pika said is not connected directly to because he is so handsome. And the word I like Suga, it is also not directly connected to because he is so handsome. And the one who is connected directly to he is so handsome is then I love Jimin. And therefore we label it like that, like on the screen. And why should alpha and beta? Because he's so handsome, so that words I like Suga is the main clause, and because he's so handsome is the reason. And because reason is adding information, we add an X beside the beta. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Alright everyone, that is our presentation. Sorry if we have a lot of mistakes. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.